Hello everyone, welcome back to English class. Dear students, today we are going to continue the chapter number 5, Summit Within, and I hope you all have read previous part of the chapter very carefully. If I talk about the chapter, we were reading about Mr. Aluwalia's experience of climbing mountain, and yes, he has shared many things about the mountains, the adventures of climbing, and at the end we have read like the peak attracted the author to itself with the help of its greatness, beauty, serenity, and difficulties it poses on the way. He says it was a challenge difficult to resist. So now we are going to read on the page number 78. Okay, look at this page. Yes. Looking back, I find that I haven't yet fully explained why I climbed Everest. It is like answering a question why you breathe. Why do you help your neighbor? Why do you want to do good acts? There is no final answer possible. So here the author looks back and discovers that he hadn't yet revealed why he actually climbed Everest. Yes, because he had climbed the Everest, and yes, he wanted to know the answer. Okay, so why I climbed Everest? He didn't have clearly given the answer. He compares. Yes, now he's saying it is like answering a question why you breathe. Okay, now he compares it by asking a question as to why one breathes, or why one helps their neighbor, or why one does a good deed. Okay, so if you know the answer of all these questions, then obviously you know why why we climbed Everest. Okay, as simple as that. It is impossible to find an answer to these questions. Okay, so there is no final answers possible, so we can't give the final answers like why we breathe. Okay, so if we are not able to give answers for these questions, then obviously Mr. Major is also not able to give the answers why he climbed Everest. And then there is the fact that Everest is not just a physical climb. The man who has been to the mountain top becomes conscious in a special manner of his own smallness in his large universe. Obviously, universe is large, infinite. Okay, but what is saying, he also mentions that facts that Everest is not just a physical climb. He told it previously, it is not the physical climb only, because it just takes last ounce of your energy. Okay, so he said that it changed the person in a way that makes him aware how small he and his problems are in this infinite universe. Okay, see, the world is very large, universe is very large. We can't even imagine the uh, largeness, the greatness of the universe. Okay, so he is saying the man who has been to the mountain top becomes conscious in a special manner of his own smallness, because if you are standing on the top of the peak, then there you realize that how small you are in this infinite, in this large universe. The physical conquest of a mountain is only one part of the achievement. There is more to it than that. It is followed by a sense of fulfillment. There is a satisfaction of a deep urge to rise above one's surroundings. It is the eternal love for adventure in man. The experience is not only physical, it is emotional, it is spiritual. So now he is explaining the experience. So here is the word conquest, means conquering. Now he said that the physical conquest of a mountain is only one part of the achievement. If you are achieving something through mountain climbing, then the physical conquest, physical victory is just the one part. Okay, so the overcoming of physical barrier is only one bit of accomplishment. There is a lot more to it, like the sense of accomplishment, the satisfying urge to rise above the current circumstances. Yes, he says it is followed by a sense of fulfillment. There is a satisfaction of a deep urge to rise above one's surroundings. One's surrounding, the person is saying that if you are rise above the current circumstances, your present circumstances, and you have to rise above all these things. Okay, it is a never ending desire for adventure in a person. Adventure is, if one person is very adventurous, his nature is very adventurous, and he loved adventures, then he said it is the eternal love for adventures in man. Okay, eternal love means deep love for adventure, never ending desire, and the experience is not only physical. If you are reaching to the peak, then it is not only the physical achievement, it is also emotional, and it is also spiritual. Spiritual means related to God. It is our internal feeling. Okay, so the experience is not just physical, it's not just from the body, it is also out, it is not just from the outside, it is also from inside, from emotional side, and yes, it is spiritual too. Next, consider a typical climb towards a summit on the last height. I am reading on the page number 78, last para it is given. You are sharing a rope with another climber you form in. He cuts the steps in the hard ice, then he balance and you inch your way up. The climb is grim. Okay, you strain every nerve as you take every step. Famous climbers have left records of the help given by others. Okay, dear students, you know very well that if we talk about this kind of typical climbing, then you know that it always in a group. Not always single person climb the mountain. Obviously, they always go with the group. So now he is talking about the dedication towards the group members. Okay, and he says that see, consider a typical climb towards the summit on the last heights. You are sharing a rope with another climber. I think you have seen many times about how the persons are sharing the rope and they are climbing the mountain. So he begins evaluating a usual climb, an unusual climb to a summit where you are sharing the rope with another climber. Okay, so you are sharing the rope, and with a single rope you are going upwards. As you make yourself firm, okay, he moves ahead as he carves the hard ice with his feet, only to further fix a rock to help you inch your way up. Okay, so the person who is leading, okay, he moves forward, makes steps there so that the followers will come easily. Okay, the followers will come up easily on the mountain. So they are helping each other. You strain every nerve you strain every nerve as you take every step. Obviously, it is very risky. Every step is very risky there. Famous climbers have left records of help given by others. The famous climbers set records how they helped their members. They have also recorded how they needed just that help, obviously, and yes, they have also make records, and obviously they have memories about them, else they might have given up. Breathing is difficult. You curse yourself for having let yourself in for this. You wonder why you ever undertook the ascent. There are moments when you feel like going back. It would be sheer relief to go down instead of up, but almost at once you snap out of that mood, there is struggle. So, dear students, what they are saying, sorry, okay. So, if we talk about this journey, now he is talking about the journey. During the journey, how they felt, how they helped each other. Now he is saying it is difficult climb that puts pressure on every nerve as you take a step forward. He mentions how it has been recorded by some famous climbers for having taken help from others, and how it was the only thing they needed at the moment to move forward, because as you are facing many kinds of difficulties there, like lack of oxygen, so it was very dangerous. It become very dangerous situation when there was a lack of oxygen. You were not properly breathing there. So he was saying like that time help was must, And yes, it is indeed very difficult to breathe at such high altitudes and cold temperature. Temperature was very cold and high altitude, lack of oxygen, so it is completely difficult to breathe. It is so hard that you curse yourself for signing up for this, and at that moment you curse yourself. Okay, you curse yourself means you blame yourself why you have chosen this. Okay, and you start questioning why you undertook it at all in the first place. Okay, so now you question yourself why you had chosen this. Now what he says that you wonder why you have undertook the ascent. Okay, there are moments when you feel like going back. So because of all kind of difficulties and danger, once you thought that yes, just go back. Okay, so it push you to give up, and the idea of going back looks relieving at that moment. So going back looks easier than moving upwards at that particular moment when you are facing the highest level of danger. Okay, now he said it would be sheer relief to go down instead of up, but almost at once you snap out of the mood. There's something in you that doesn't let you give up the struggle. But you know, as your companions are there, you feel something in yourself. Obviously, once moment come when you thought that yes, just give up and go down, but no, you feel something in yourself that doesn't let you give up and you move on. Okay, your companion is always there for you. Okay, and because of them you just move on, as you can see on page number 79. And you go on, your companion keeps up with you just another 50 feet or 100 maybe. The companion, what were they doing? They were motivating each other. Oh, no worries, only 50 feet are there, only 50 feet are left, only 100 miles are left, so just move on. Okay, so the companions motivate each other so that they just drop the idea for moving back, and they move on, move up with positivity. And yes, he said, you ask yourself, is there no end? You look at your companion and he looks at you. So what was going on? You draw inspiration from each other. You looked here, you means the person, writer Mr. Ahluwalia is saying about his companion and their bonding, and he was saying that the both companions, the both climbers who were climbing the mountains, and they are just climbing through one rope, and yes, they the both companions looked at each other, they drew inspiration from each other. Okay, they got motivation, and then without first being aware of it, you are at the summit. Okay, so at because you both were motivating each other, and you and your companion both look at each other in search of motivation, and then suddenly, without even realizing it at first, you are already at the summit. So always says just work in group. Okay, so they are leading, they are moving upwards towards the summit, and yes, because of their motivation they reach there. On page number 79, looking round from the summit, you tell yourself that it was worthwhile. Other silvery peaks appear through the clouds. If you are lucky, the sun may be on them. The surrounding peaks look like a jeweled necklace around the neck of your summit. Below, you see vast valleys sloping into the distance. It is an ennobling, enriching experience to just look down from the summit of a mountain. You bow down and make your obeisance to the whichever god you worship. So, in this paragraph, the writer is explaining the beauty of that particular place. Okay, if you are standing on a summit, then how beautifully you can see the world. So he is explaining, and two words are here, ennobling, which means give someone a noble rank or title, and next one is given make your obeisance, means just show your submission, show your respect. Okay, so and now he is describing, so look at here, Listen carefully. Looking round from the summit, you tell yourself that it was worthwhile. So as you look around, once you reach the summit, you tell yourself that it was worth all struggle and hardship. Means if you have faced many struggles, difficulties, now it is worthy. Okay, it is completely worthful. And you can see other peaks through the clouds, and from that particular place many other peaks you can see. Okay, and they all were covered with the clouds, and if you are fortunate enough, then there may be sunlight on them. In case of fortune only, if you are lucky, if you are fortunate, then you will get sunlight also. And the peaks nearby looks as a jeweled necklace, round shaped. And now he is just giving different kinds of adjectives, okay, to describing the beauty of that particular view. And you can just imagine you are standing on the peak of the Everest, and from there you are moving, you are watching the world around you. And yes, he is saying the peaks nearby, other peaks nearby looks as a jeweled necklace, round necklace around the neck of your summit. You are standing on a summit, and around you the completely very good necklace is there. As you look down, now it's see, below you see vast valleys flopping into the distance. Okay, as you look down, you can look at the vast, very deep valleys from a distance. Okay, from a far distance you can see the deep valleys. To look down from the summit of a mountain is an honorable and enhancing experience, enriching, ennobling. Okay, so it is very honorable and enhancing experience as you bow down and make your obeisance to whichever god you worship. So as you are on the top of a mountain, you bow down and pay your respect to whichever god you worship, because finally you have reached there. I left on Everest a picture of Guru Nanak. Most important paragraph. Rawat left a picture of goddess Durga. Puhu Dorji left a relic of a Buddha. Edmund Hillary had buried a cross under a cairn, a heap of rock and stones in the snow. These are not symbols of conquest but of reverence. This is the most important paragraph, and you have to learn all these things as it is. And you know what they have left there. Now the writer is saying on Everest the author left a picture of Guru Nanak Dev, his fellow climber Rawat and Puhu Dorji left pictures and relics of goddess Durga and Buddha respectively. Edmund Hillary built a cross under the heap of rocks in the snow. He mentioned that these are not a symbol of accomplishment, these are not a sign of victory but of respect and admiration. Okay, so dear, just understand the difference. These are not symbol of conquest, these are not the symbol of victory or accomplishment, but of reverence, but of respect, because they wanted to show respect. They were very gratitude, they wanted to show gratitude towards the god, because of them only they all were able to reach there. So this is because the experience of having climbed the summit changes you completely. Now yes, you have reached there. This experience changed you completely from your inside also. Okay, so now these symbols become symbols of respect rather than symbol of victory. The experience of having climbed to the summit changes you completely. Okay, next, as you can see the picture, the author and Puhu Dorji at the summit of Mount Everest, page number 79. There is another summit. It is within yourself. It is in your own mind. Each man carries within himself his own mountain peak. He must climb to it, reach to a fuller knowledge of himself. It is fearful and unscalable. It cannot be climbed by anyone else. You yourself have to do it. The physical act of climbing to the summit of a mountain outside is akin to the act of climbing the mountain within. Now, dear students, he is talking about another summit. Yes, Everest is done. now he's talking about our inside summit, and he's saying, he talks about another summit, the summit within one's own mind. He further explains how there is a mountain peak within each person's mind and how he must climb it to attain complete awareness of oneself. It is fearful and cannot be measured. Moreover, no one except you can climb. It means the same person can climb his own mountain peak. He further explains how physically climbing a mountain is similar to climbing the one within. If you wanted to know yourself, just go meditate and just find yourself from inside only. You can't get meaning from outside about yourself. He further explained the effect of both the climbs are also the same, because if climbing the mountain Everest can change the person, obviously the climbing the mountain of our inside can change the person completely. It changes you completely irrespective of the nature of climbing, physical, emotional or spiritual. It teaches you a lot about the world around you and the one inside you. So he says the effect of both the climbs are the same. Whether the mountain you climb is physical or emotional and spiritual, the climb will certainly change you. It teaches you how about the world and about yourself. To know more about yourself, it is compulsory. Just look inside deeply, and when you find meaning of your life, when you find meaning of yourself, obviously you will find a drastic change in your personality, as he has found himself after reaching the peak. At the end, he says, I venture to think that my experience as an Everester has provided me with the inspiration to face life's ordeals resolutely. Climbing the mountain was a worthwhile experience. The conquest of the internal summits is equally worthwhile. The internal summits are perhaps higher than Everest. Now he is saying, the author goes about thinking that his experience as an Everester has given him both the strength and inspiration to deal with life's painful experiences with determination and firmness. Okay, so be determined, be firm, and face the painful experiences of your life. Just like climbing Everest was a worthwhile experience, conquering the summit within is equally worthwhile. Okay, if you are able to control your inner thoughts, if you are able to control your inner qualities, okay, so you can conquer, you can feel the same victory as you imagine the victory of reaching the mountain peak. Moreover, internal summits are higher than the physical summits of Everest. Now he has compared two summits. One is mountain climbing, physical mountain climbing like mountain Everest, and another is mountain of our inside thoughts. Okay, so if he is saying both are similar, might be the inner mountain is higher than outer mountain. Okay, so just think about this, read this chapter twice and thrice to understand it thoroughly, because all words have very deep meaning. So all the very best, and yes, please keep reading and keep learning. Thank you.